Hello, and welcome to Scott's Odyssey. Today we are visiting a natural wonder. One that is, as far as I know, the only one in Pennsylvania, and aside from the one in Virginia, the only one in the northeastern part of the United States. Welcome to the natural land bridge named Arch Spring. See you in a minute. Hear ye, hear ye. This break into the video is a public service announcement. It is hereby decreed by the Odyssey that trespass is not only frowned upon, but typically illegal, especially in Pennsylvania. If you want to get shot or place your own life in direct harm, trespass is the easiest way to attain this goal. Each property owner is the king of their domain, which not only includes their dwelling, but also their curtilage and any assets on said property, as defined in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. A person commits the crime of defiant trespass if he or she comes onto or stays on your property after being told to stay away. If you feel that there is any reasonable expectation of privacy or ownership and decide to cross onto another's property, then you have committed the crime of defiant trespass. Odyssey has, in this situation, contacted and received appropriate permissions from the Lord of this land to be here and do what he is doing. In other words, get permission before crossing into somebody else's territory. It's a lot easier to ask for permission than to run from someone who's shooting at you. Welcome back. If you've watched my videos before, thank you for your patronage, and if you're new to Scott's Odyssey, welcome aboard. I'm going to apologize in advance for the quality of the drone footage in this video. You see, while recording this site and capturing phenomenal footage, the Odyssey drone received some significant interference from an unseen obstruction seeking to tear down our adventure. In the process, Gertrude, the drone, did an inversion in flight which caused her to turn upside down and land in the water with the specific sound of kerplunk, which, oddly enough, in the drone operator's world, is one of the worst sounds you could ever possibly hear. This video will still contain drone footage, but it will be far from the 4K that is normally presented, and I do wholesomely apologize in advance for the quality. Now that you know what happened, please consider heading out to either Patreon or PayPal in order to drop $1, help get me a new bird for recording these sites, please. Honestly, the drone footage is one of the best manners in which to visit and capture the beauty of who we once were. Without further ado, here's the story of the Arch Spring. We are currently at the Arch Spring Farm, the current legal name of the property, and those whom graciously granted me permission to come out and make this video. Our targeted site is located in the village of Arch Springs, found in Tyrone Township of Blair County, Pennsylvania, in the lower portion of the Sinking Valley. But before we get into the showing you, let's get some backfill on what we will be looking at. This part of Pennsylvania is known for large quantities of lead found in mines, as well as numerous geological oddities associated with limestone and dolomite layers that form karst caves. If you remember from the Tytoona cave exploration, which can be found up here, or just search for Tytoona on the channel, then you will recall that a karst cave is one that is formed by the washing out of all the soluble materials such as Trenton limestone or dolomite that ultimately forms some of the most impressive and decorative caves you would ever want to explore. So, I brought up Tytoona. Tytoona Cave is located exactly 1 mile by road, or 1,444 yards by underground river from the Arch Spring. What? Oh, underground river, right. You see, the Tytoona Cave entrance is found down in a really deep hole, a hole you would typically only find if, let's say, the ceiling of a cave collapsed and dilated the hidden gem. In Sinking Valley, there is a river that runs underground, and every once in a while pops up like a groundhog looking for its shadow. So if you went to Tytoona, you would first go down a large sinkhole to find that water was perking up from an extremely high stone wall, then flowing into the mouth of the cave, only to find itself pulled back down under into some sumps that travel for 1,444 yards and pop back up at the Arch Spring. During that 1,444 yard journey, the sumps come upon, according to what is written in publicly available journals and still often heatedly debated, 4 separate airtight dry rooms. That is 4 rooms that do not let any air out, thereby keeping them always dry and only accessible through diving in a sump. Now, don't think of a sump as something you could just hold your breath and do a quick swim into the next cave room like they do in Hollywood. The reality is that even a professional and certified cave diver by the name of Roberta Swicegood, with a lot of experience under her belt, unfortunately lost her life on June 20th of 1988 doing a solo dive from the Arch Spring side while surveying one of the large rooms. It is said that these rooms contain some of the most spectacular arrays of soda straws ever seen in a cave. Some of these sumps go to depths upward of 80 feet below the surface, and the amount of water flowing through the cave is about 30,000 gallons per minute. In the past, scientists have performed dye tests and confirmed that Arch Spring and Tytoona are directly connected, but the dye also did not completely come out at 100% efficacy. You see, at least 50% of the dye was missing, and it was never determined where exactly it was resurfacing. It was nowhere to be found within a several mile radius of this particular site. The first recorded mention of Arch Spring in historical documents are referenced to Sherman in his book, The Historical Collections of the State of Pennsylvania, referenced in 1943. His recount in the book states that the mention of Arch Spring was in the 1788 Columbian Magazine. Specifically, he stated that, among other curiosities of this place, that called the Arch Spring may be particularized, as it runs close upon the road from the town to the fort. It is a deep hollow, formed in the limestone rock about 30 feet in width, with a rude arch of stone hanging over it, forming a passage for the water, which it throws out with some degree of violence, and in such plenty as to form a fine stream, which at length buries itself again in the bowels of the earth. Some of these pits are near 300 feet deep. The water at the bottom seems in rapid motion and is apparently of a color as deep as ink, though in truth it is as pure as the finest springs can produce. Many of these pits are placed along the course of this subterraneous river, which soon after takes an opportunity of an opening to a descent and keeps along the surface among rocky hills for a few rods, then enters the mouth of a large cave whose exterior aperture was sufficient to admit a shallop with her sails full spread. In the inside, it keeps from 18 to 20 feet wide. The roof declines as you advance, and a ledge of loose, rugged rocks keeps in tolerable order upon one side, affording means to scramble along. In the midst of this cave is much timber, bodies of trees, branches, etc., and are to be seen lodged quite up to the roof of this passage, which affords a proof of the water being swelled up to the very top during the time of freshets. Its mode of escape being perhaps inadequate to the prodigious quantities which must sometimes fall from the mountain into this channel, swelling it up to the very surface, as several places over the side seem to evidence the escape of water at times into the lower country. This opening in the hill continues about 400 yards when the cave widens after you've got round a sudden turn, which prevents its being discovered until you are within it, to a spacious room, at the bottom of which is a vortex, the water that falls into it whirling round with amazing force. Sticks or even pieces of timber are immediately absorbed and carried out of sight, the water boiling up with excessive violence, which soon subsides until the experiment is renewed. This location is not a state nor national park. It's a private property, and thankfully, the current landowner is as concerned about its preservation and natural beauty as I am. Hopefully this spot will remain this way, or in time or as necessary will come under the protection of the state or federal authority to provide protection while providing accessibility for the only known natural land bridge feature found in Pennsylvania. If you get the chance, jump out to Patreon or PayPal and spare me $1. Help the Odyssey replace Gertrude, the drone. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. You will be missed, Gertrude. You were the best. No, wait, I have a wife. You were the second best companion on the Odyssey tours. I only so hope that we can retrieve you at some day. And if not you, one of your kin.